This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
Welcome to the program. Joining me now, John Brummett, columnist with the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. John, good to see you.
Good to be here.
Let us begin with some overnight on Sunday night. I guess something that just is abhorrent to many people. There's a video that has been captured of some police officers violently suppressing somebody they were trying to arrest up in Mulberry, Arkansas. Give me your quick take on what you've seen and what you think will happen next. It's obviously got the attention of the governor. He's put out a statement on that already.
This all happened very fast. Apparently there was a guy with a South Carolina address who was behaving weirdly and badly, apparently. And the police were called on. Mulberry County Sheriff's deputies and a Mulberry, or Crawford County and a Mulberry, three guys and a Mulberry policeman showed up to attend to the whatever trouble this guy was causing at a convenience store. And whatever happened, and there is context to this, whatever happened, resulted in a woman entering the convenience store, seeing around the corner those three officers, and you can see it yourself, brutalizing this guy. One holds him down, one knees him repeatedly, the other, I don't recommend anybody watch it. It's sickening. Beats his head, sometimes against the pavement. And the thing, and this woman sent it to a relative in Oklahoma who posted on social media. This was like at 4 o'clock. Thing had happened Sunday morning. And by 9 or 10, it's globally viral, and politicians are falling over themselves to say, Arkansas politicians, this needs to be, we will investigate this. The state police will investigate. And the officers have been either suspended without pay or put on leave while the investigation proceeds. And you can just do it. If you're on Twitter, just do a Twitter search, Mulberry Police, and the world is commenting in horror on what happened in Mulberry, Arkansas. And I don't know that it's representative of, I don't want to say it's representative of Arkansas, representative of police. I just want to say this is subhuman, primitive, seems to me on its face criminal behavior. And it's going to be most interesting how we proceed as a governing entity on this matter, because the world is watching. And you get a lot of this comment, what do you need to investigate? There's no context that could excuse what you plainly see. I believe that is true, but that is not to say that there's not a process to be followed. But that process will be observed closely by eyes all over the country, if not beyond. And it's a horrible thing to see. You've seen it. You've seen
yes,
it.
I think that it is a disturbing video, but I think on top of that is we have seen repeatedly, year after year, some of these similar episodes of a citizen being beaten by multiple police officers to subdue them. And I suppose that sometimes it is necessary when there's something violent happening that they have to defend themselves against. This guy looked pretty defenseless laying on the ground right there. And I guess I'm disturbed that we've not learned from some past mistakes, I think is what I'm trying not to prejudge, but I think that's kind of where I'm coming at this from, is what
you don't really have to. Yeah, I appreciate that you're saying that, and that's a good context to add. And you don't have to prejudge, you just have to observe. I'm not saying what laws or processes should be applied, what the disposition should be, and the context will be informative, but in no way mitigating. He's down, he's helpless, three guys, and they continue. I don't recommend anybody see it, but go see it. But it's a bad reflection on a lot of things, and it's disturbing, beyond disturbing, and sickening. Those are the words I would apply.
Yeah. All right, let's turn our attention to another matter that also has Arkansas in a little bit of a national context here, and that is Senator Jason Rapert settles his lawsuit with the American Atheists over him I guess, supposedly blocking them from Facebook, and that is what the settlement says, that he agrees to not block them anymore. And there's a $16,000 payment that will go along with this as part of the settlement. Both sides claiming victory. I will let you analyze for everyone out there what happened in this case, and why did it settle the way that it did, the best of your knowledge?
I believe that seems to be, and this is based on accounts both of the plaintiff and the defendant. You put them together and you get that the American Atheists group offered to go away if he'd pay court costs. In which case, the American Atheists could claim victory. Rapert's version is they wanted out of it. I had them beat, and they wanted $16,000 to end it. So that's what we did. And I haven't lost anything. I'm not going. I think he's still blocking people. I don't know, and I'm not sure there was an enforcement mechanism if he didn't unblock. But that's legal to tell. The point is he'll be out of office and block who he wants to, like I do on Twitter. I block for the hell of it. But it's okay for me. So, when Senator, I hate to, technically, if you're scoring at home, American Atheists won a $16,000 settlement. Rapert doesn't have to pay it. We do, the taxpayers.
And why? I've been asked that.
Because he was representing the state. He was sued in his capacity as a state senator, that he can't violate the rights of constituents and people as a state senator, and the state defended him. Whether the state could have divorced itself from it in the first place and let him defend himself on his own, and he had his own lawyers, I'm not up on that. I'm not going to pretend to know. But the state represented him. The Attorney General's office did. The state took it on itself, and so I got a lot of things to quarrel with Jason Rapert about, and I have done so for years. But if he wants to say this was his own victory, I would amend that only to say it's a draw for you, because it didn't cost him a cent, doesn't have to do anything. And you get, and the American Atheists get to spike the ball, and everybody goes away. And he's out of office in a few months, and it's irrelevant. That's the way I size it up. You see any more significance to it than that?
I do not. Into the chapter of a book sort of thing.
Right. Okay, let's turn the page.
All right, turning the page. Chris Jones, Democratic nominee for governor, gives me an interview this weekend and reveals that he's got grave concerns about the death penalty, would consider commuting to life sentences, everybody on death row. Also challenges Sarah Huckabee Sanders to an 8-hour, unmoderated, unscripted debate. Do you want to sit through an 8-hour debate for governor? And what do you make of his take and position on death row cases?
No, I don't want to sit through an 8-hour debate with anyone. Not 8 hours continuously. I might sit through 4 hour-and-a-half ones. What's that? 6 hours? But with some relief between. But we're not going to get that. This is a fine. I mean, Chris Jones impresses me. He's running seriously, and he is the loyal opposition to the ruling party of the state for the chief executive's office. He's going against a right-wing juggernaut, and he's giving no quarter and asking for none. And he's a better candidate, I've said many times, than the current Arkansas Democratic Party deserves in terms of its condition. He's a discovery, and good for him for proposing these free-form debates. He will get one of the most restrictive formats for an hour on public TV. That's what he's going to get, and that's the way she schemed to get it. Now, here's my reaction to his saying he has grave concerns about the death penalty, and he would consider how to deal with death warrants if he were governor, including commuting sentences and not imposing the death penalty. and he invoked Governor Rockefeller, I think the most important governor in the state's modern history, who opposed the death penalty and commuted sentences as he left office. My take on that, as I put on social media, is that this is both politically hamstringing to him and politically impressive. How can that be? Well, it's a right-wing state. It's a death penalty state, and he doesn't. He's not benefited in a traditional political way by taking this stand. But on the other hand, he's showing himself to be a serious man of thought and distinguishing himself. And when you're at 30-something% in the polls, why not try to begin turning that philosophical ship at sea? Where Arkansas will not be right-wing forever, extreme right-wing. The Democrats will rally, and the modern Democrats will be a party that will be perhaps influenced by that kind of position. And I think there's nobody in the state who was going to vote for him who will now vote for Sarah Sanders because of this position. Those votes were already set. I don't think he's hurt, and I think he's simply, I think he's shown himself, distinguished himself for some measure of political courage and thoughtfulness. A guy like Mike Beebe, Clinton before him, they were running to win, and they were having to finesse these kinds of issues rather than state this kind of principle. He's not burdened in that way, and it's a change in a democratic approach that I think, as I say, maybe begins a slow turning of the ship at sea. So it hamstrings him, but it liberates him, and it impresses, I think.
All right, lastly.
By the way, congratulations on that interview, and that's a pretty good scoop. And I hadn't even thought to ask him about that. Good for you. So way to go.
Appreciate that.
You bet.
Lastly, we have a mayor's race in the city of Little Rock. We have got incumbent Mayor Frank Scott Jr. We have challengers Steve Landers, Greg Henderson, and now Glenn Schwartz on the last day. I think he's in there as well. I moderated this first mayor's debate, minus Glenn Schwartz, because he wasn't filed yet when we did it. You've had a chance to watch that. What do you make of what's going to happen in this Little Rock mayor's race?
Well, I think what's going to happen is that Steve Landers is going to burn himself out early on the crime issue. In fact, I was on the phone with him over the weekend briefly, and he said that he was saying, this is more about, there's more to talk about here than crime. But you were there, you're asking the questions. He was a one note, he has been a one note so far, that crime is, Little Rock cannot succeed with this level of crime, and Frank Scott is somehow responsible or hasn't urgently responded sufficiently. That's his one note. And even he's indicating this has got to be about more than that. I think we're going to hear about the mayor's spending habits, how much money is spent in the central office, because he's redefined the office of mayor. We can go through all the city hall, personal credit cards. We can do all that. We're going to be hearing that kind of thing, because I think it became evident in this debate there are more things to talk about than crime, though important though crime is. But after you've said, I'll be more attentive to it much more than he, and he says, I'm attentive to it, there doesn't seem to be any additional context for that difference of view. I got interested because, I don't know if you even caught this because you were moderating, but at one point, Landers, a well-known legendary car dealer, well-known to the TV camera and advertising, he essentially said, no, he didn't essentially say, he said, I'm out there every day. I see women murdered. I see children murdered. I saw a person get shot in the head at a service station. Did he? Did he see those things? I texted him the next day. Did you see them? And describe them. He said, no, it's not what I meant. He said, I got talking too fast, and that's not what I meant. So the issue is he really ready for prime time? You know, if that's that's a rhetorical device, but it's also false. And which I bring that up because I'm writing about it tomorrow, but also you've seen people highly successful in the private sector who venture into politics, and the skill set for selling cars is not the same as debating an opponent on issues before a large crowd with video recording taking place. And that's something a lot of folks from the private sector who enter politics have discovered. Did you catch he said that during the debate?
I did, and I guess I kind of felt like the context was he's read about these things. He's seen on the news.
Yeah, we didn't say he read about them. He said he saw them.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I kind of gave him the benefit of a pass of saying I've seen.
I'm not saying
and witnessed these things.
Robbie, I was not saying that you needed to veer from the program to challenge him on that. I'm telling you, I'm analyzing it in tomorrow's column, and I'm giving you a little preview on that here now.
Appreciate
okay?
that. Always
you bet.
Visit with you, John Brummett. He's columnist with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. You can catch him online 4 days a week, in the papers 3 days a week if you can find a paper, right?
Yes.
You can find them.
If that's the way you want to put it. Okay. Yes. All right. Thanks.